Hey, what's up everyone? Today I'm going to be continuing our one bar build series, where I take you through a class and give you a build that is designed to be only one bar. And you might say, one bar? Why, Adam? Well, before you dismiss it, know that this one bar build is crazy. This one bar build provides a more simplified build for those of you that either struggle with bar switching and rotations, or you just want something a little bit easier to use. But it also allows you to get better at weaving and utilizing your skills because you are solely focused on using just one bar. This is the second build in this series, and this one is featuring the Templar. So let's jump in. Thank you so much for my patrons and YouTube members. I'll have more on that at the end of the video. And again, make sure to like, subscribe, heavy attack that bell icon to stay up to date on all the content in the channel here. It really does help out the channel. So starting out, like all my builds, I will give you advice on how to level up your build from level 3 to level 50. That way you can have the skills you need when you get to the end game. I'll also give you some insight on other sets that you can use as well. But this build can be used as solo as well as a group build, and really is one of the easier solo ones because it is the Templar, and the Templar is just easy mode for a lot of reasons. And so again, we're using the Templar here, and Templars just give us ridiculous amounts of damage, healing, AoE damage, single target damage, sustain. They just give us everything. Like, Templars give you literally everything. So starting out, we're going to talk about the stats, Mundus, the food, and the race. For our stats, you'll see here we have 32.8k max stamina, got a ton of stamina recovery, or we have 69.3% weapon critical and spell critical. That'll actually go up with buffs. And we've got the Thief Mundus Stone, which increases our weapon and spell critical. And we've got our Dubious Camoran Throne as our buff food. I like these because it gives us more stam recovery, and on a one bar build we are going to need this, and so that's really nice. Now for the race, we are using Khajiit. The reason I'm using Khajiit is because the passives are fantastic for stamina and even magicka, but you're going to get more stam and health and magic recovery with robustness. You're going to get more max health, magicka, and stamina for lunar blessings. So that's going to help you a little bit with soloing. And then Feline Ambush gives us more crit damage and crit healing, which again helps us with soloing and just gives you a boost to damage. Now we're gonna go into the skills, and again, we're using a one bar build, so this is very simple. You can use 2 bars if you'd like, but this is designed to be 1 bar, and it's supposed to help people out that want more simplified builds. And this build hits like a truck for a 1 bar build. It's crazy. Like, I've been hitting more damage with these 1 bar builds than I've ever hit on my 2 bar builds, which is just awesome for me in general, because I'm someone who is very mediocre at light attack weaving. I don't practice it a lot, so these are just really easy to use. So our first skill is, if you didn't think it was going to be this, then I don't know what to tell you, but biting jabs. Biting jabs is literally one of the most broken skills in the game. It's been one of the most broken skills in the game for a long time, and it got a buff. And this just is your bread and butter. This is what you're using all the time, essentially. You're doing an 8x6 area of effectability here. It's doing physical damage. It's doing damage to enemies nearby. It's reducing the movement speed. It's also granting you major brutality and major sorcery, which increases your weapon and spell damage by 20% for 10 seconds. So, I mean, it's just like, this thing just does everything. I don't even know what else to say about this skill. This skill is just so dumb. So you need this skill. The second skill is Power of the Light. Power of the Light is going to be doing physical damage to an enemy. What it's doing is, as it's being used, it takes 6 seconds, but it's copying all the damage taken from you to them. It can do a lot of damage, so you want to make sure you're getting as much damage out as possible so it copies the most, because when it ends, it will essentially release that and do 50% of its additional physical damage to them once it is done after 6 seconds. It also afflicts the target with minor breach, reducing their physical and spell resistance for 2974 for 9 seconds, so that helps you do a little bit more damage as well. Next skill is Turn Evil. This one is just here literally for the Fighters Guild buff to give us more weapon and spell damage on the passive. You're not using this skill. Next skill is Barb Trap. That's on the Fighters Guild line. You are going to use this skill, but you're going to use it every 15 seconds, and that's it. This is going to increase your critical damage by 10%. It's also going to do bleed damage, but it's also there for passive buffs. So with the latest PTS notes, the Oaken Soul Ring that we're going to be using is getting nerfed in some ways. So for your last skill here, Camouflage Hunter, when I made this video, and you can still run this, it still gives us a nice passive for the Fighters Guild with the weapon and spell damage boost, but the major savagery on it doesn't really do anything when we have the ring active, so you can switch this out with like Razor Caltrops or Blessed Shards, and that's probably going to give you a little bit more benefit just because we're mainly using it for that passive buff, so I just wanted to mention that. The ultimate is Flawless Dawnbreaker. Again, something from the Fighters Guild line. This is doing a ton of physical damage to enemies, and it's also going to increase your weapon and spell damage after activating it by 300 for 20 seconds, and it has such a low ultimate cost that you're going to be able to use this a lot. That's 4 Fighters Guild abilities that increases your weapon and spell damage by 12% because they're on the bar. Remember, we're not switching bars. We're staying on this bar. So some alternatives for this, if you want to slot anything else in for maybe some more like AoE damage, I guess you could put Blazing Spear here, and you could put Caltrops skill, Razor Caltrops on here as well. You could take out Turn Evil for that, and maybe Barb Trap if you want, but in my opinion, you're gonna have enough with Biting Jabs. But if you are in a really heavy AoE situation, like if you're doing solo play, you could definitely put Caltrops or Blazing Spear on this instead of Turn Evil. That's definitely an option. But when you're leveling this up, guys, this is going to be so easy. I mean, you're going to have this on the first time you come out of the tutorial. You're going to have Biting Jabs. You put it on your bar, and then for Power of the Light, all you got to do is put Sunfire on here, level up this bar to this part right here with Power of the Light, and then you'll morph it into that. Obviously, it's not going to be that skill. You're going to morph into this. And then literally with Fighters Guild, y'all, you just do Dolmens, and you'll have this maxed out in no time. And you'll be able to get everything here, and you'll have just full skill line. Now, for the passives, you want all the Fighters Guild passives because Slayer is fantastic. This is one of your biggest things. You're getting 12% bonus to weapon and spell damage because we have so many Fighters Guild passives on here. Banish the Wicked's nice. You can get Skill Tracker. You don't have to get Bounty Hunter. I would just get Intimidating Presence because it's nice to have. You can get your Undaunted passives. For all of these, definitely get all your Adric Spear passives. This is going to be nice. You can get these 3 passives here for Dawn's Wrath, Prism, Illuminate, and Restoring Spirit. Enduring Rays, you don't really need it because it does not affect Power of the Light. And then for Restoring Light, you don't need Mending. I don't really think you need Sacred Ground. You don't need Light Weaver. Master Ritualist you could get. That's nice to have if you're playing in group play, but you're not using literally any skills from this line, so a lot of these passives aren't needed, so that saves you a little bit of skill points there. For your weapons, you want to get all the dual wield passives, and then for your armor, you want to get all the medium armor passives here as well. Okay, let's get into the armor. Okay, the armor is pretty simple, and it's gonna not be too hard to get. For your 5-piece body set, Leviathan is on the body right here, okay? Leviathan, this increases your crit chance, your max stamina. It's just an amazing set. This is Crypt of Hearts dungeon. You can do this on normal. It's very easy. You'll be able to farm this very easily. It just gives you tons of crit chance. You can put divines on this and max stamina enchants. The other 5-piece, we're using Deadly Ring, Deadly Necklace, Deadly Daggers, and Deadly Shoulders. This is a set that you can get from coffers in PvP, or you can buy them on Guild Traders. It's really, you should be able to get these pretty easily on Guild Traders for the most part. This is going to just make your Templar ridiculous. And this adds weapon spell damage twice, crit chance, increases the damage of your damage over time and channeled abilities due by 15%. What that means is that increases your Biting Jabs, because this is technically a channel, because you see that up there, channel time 1 second. So it increases the damage, which it doesn't even need an increase, but it gets an increase. So this armor set is just so stupid. Then you're using 1-piece Slime Crawl, which is going to increase your crit chance. That's Vet Weira Sewers 1 dungeon. Pretty simple to get. And then we're using the mythic item, Oaken Soul Ring, the one that everyone's talking about. And so yes, like I said, the Oaken Soul Ring has been nerfed since the last build that I made. It's still, I think, pretty good, and you still should be able to use it because it gives you major courage, major resolve, major fortitude, major intellect, major endurance, major prophecy, and major savagery still. The only difference is since you have those buffs, you can't have those buffs on other things. Like, you won't stack those, right? Before, you were getting the values of those buffs essentially, and so you could stack like another major savagery in essence. So this is still going to be solid, but I would just say that this is not the same as it was last patch. We'll see if it goes live, but I still think this is a viable thing to use for 1-bar builds, so I just wanted to mention that. Now, if you want to have an alternate setup with this, these are just some options. Instead of Leviathan, you can get Briarheart. That's going to give you more healing and more weapon and spell damage instead, which is really nice. I really like that. Briarheart's one of my favorite sets, so that's going to be a little bit more solo friendly if you want to get Briarheart instead. That's Farmable and Rothgar. Besides that, I think that you should keep Deadly. Deadly's just so good, but that would be my alternative setup if I were you and you wanted something different. The other thing to keep in mind is, again, gear progression. So I told you I'd go from level 3 to level 50. So when you're leveling this character, the item sets that you can go, you're not gonna have all these when you start out, obviously, right? So you can start out with some Hunting's Rage. Hunting's Rage is a craftable set, and you really just have to pick and find what you want and what you can use as you're leveling to 50. But you can start farming some Leviathan if you'd like to. It's not gonna be CP 160, but you can still get some, and you can get some Hunting's Rage, and you can really just use those until you hit CP 160. There's really no other items that you really need. I mean, you could use like Venomous Smite from Western Skyrim, but once you hit 160 CP, then you can start really farming for this. It's gonna be simple. You can immediately go to Crypt of Hearts and get Leviathan. Once you have that, you can start doing some PvP stuff, or you can go in the guild traders, get Deadly, and then all you gotta do then is get the mythic item, and you can immediately, probably about CP 200, go into Vet Way or Sewers 1 and get Slime Craw's Mask, and you'll have basically the full build. It's gonna be pretty simple to do. The only thing with the Deadly is the Deadly daggers might be expensive on guild traders. If you can find them off traded, then they should be fine. But again, you can get these in coffers and stuff like that as well. But let's get to the CP now. The CP is pretty simple. Again, use all the points you can to get all the random passive points, but first start off getting these because these are the most important ones. You want to go 50 into Fighting Finesse, 50 into Backstabber, so increase your damage done or critical damage done to people that you're or enemies that you're flanking. You want to go 50 into Biting Aura, which is going to increase your damage done with area effect attacks, and then you're going to want to go 50 into Mastered Arms, which is going to increase your damage with direct damage attacks. For the red side, you're going to do your typical stuff here. 50 into Rejuvenation, 50 into Survival Instincts, 50 into Bloody Renewal, and you're going to get 50 into Sustained by Suffering. That's just going to give you tons of recovery and cost reduction with combat skills, and then you're going to get stamina back whenever you kill an enemy. So these are the ones you want to do. Green, you can just do what you want. Again, that's up to you. Okay, let's get into the rotation here. The rotation is literally one of the simplest things you'll literally ever do. I'm gonna call this build one skill, one bar, one ring to rule them all, because you're literally just using one skill. I mean, it's so simple, guys. So all you're gonna do is, if you can get behind the enemy, you're gonna use your Barb Trap, Power of Light, and then your Biting Jabs, Light Attack, Biting Jabs, Light Attack, Biting Jabs, Light Attack, Biting Jabs, Light Attack. And you do this forever. When your Power of the Light ends, use it again. Biting Jabs, Light Attack, Biting Jabs, Light Attack. Use your Flawless Dawnbreaker when it's up. Okay, Power of the Light's up, use it again. And then make sure you use your Barb Trap up when it's up as well. But this is all you're doing. This is literally all you're doing. And this is all you need to do. Look at that stamina recovery. You'll literally never run out of stamina. You'll never run out of stamina with this build. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. And so all you gotta do is reapply your Barb Trap and your Power of Light when they're up, and Biting Jabs for literally everything else. It's that simple, guys. You're gonna be able to clear a lot of content with this build. It's gonna give you healing, it's gonna give you damage, it's gonna be fantastic for you. Like I said, you can switch the Turn Evil for like Caltrops or Blessed Shards to when you get into AoE settings, so you can clear mobs a little faster. But this build, it's crazy to me how easy this build is, and anyone should be able to use this build. It's all you need is one bar. You only need to click a couple buttons. Even if you don't Light Attack weave perfectly, you're still going to be able to do over 40k DPS. For a lot of people, that's a lot of DPS, but you should be able to get way up higher than that with proper Light Attack weaving and practice. I think this will be something that you really enjoy if you really need something simple to use. Again, this will be on our website, brahwegotthis.com, as well as all of our other builds. And if you want to check out my gear progression guide, I'll have it up here in the screen. It talks about all the progression of gear you should go through for each role: tank, healer, DPS, mage, or stamina. And again, thank you to my patrons and YouTube members. I really do appreciate it. If you want to become one of those, check out the link below in the description. You can follow our Twitch stream, twitch.tv/brahwegotthis, Tuesday through Friday, where I stream live. You can watch me there. Our Discord down below, and our website, brahwegotthis.com. But until next time, y'all, just remember to have faith, be great. I'll see you on ESO.